And we are live. Welcome everyone, CFLW the show for this Monday, June the 16th. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Happy Father's Day belated to all the fathers out there. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I can't complain whatsoever. Got to spend time with my family. Hit a movie yesterday with the kids. Just had some fun. Got to speak to my father, which again, you appreciate these days, and good to, enjoy the weekend. And I hope you guys did as well. Weather, very interesting, right? We had some storms, but it was very area specific. And in some spots, those storms really lingered deep into the evening and the overnight hours. So coming up, we'll talk about, how this pattern is going to evolve through the week. We have a few showers out there right now, but the other big story is the heat that is going to be building in. It is going to get brutally hot in some spots as we move through this work week. As always, CFLW the show, sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. It is storm season, friends. When we get storms in the area, you end up getting hail damage, wind damage, tropical storm, hurricane damage, even a burst pipe. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. If that situation arises in your life, you want more information, go to leanonmelaw.com for more information. Okay, let's get started. As always, let me know in the comment section below what's been happening in your area, what the weather has been like. If you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Hey, Blue Goose, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. 87 degrees, 75% humidity. Under mostly cloudy skies. Again, seeing a couple of showers developing here at the hour. We'll get into that in just a second. What do you say we take a live look to our cameras right now? Love to do that here on CFLW. Again, our goal is to continue to expand our live camera network for you guys, and this is a live shot to Winter Garden. I think this really tells the story. Already a fair amount of cloud coverage in place. You can see some darker clouds. We're going to have some passing showers here in the early afternoon hours across the I-4 corridor, but especially back towards I-75. So again, you'll see your live information scroll at the bottom of your screen, the updated conditions. We've had the extra cloud coverage out west, which has kept some temperatures in the 80s there, and then out to the I-4 corridor east to I-95. We've had more sunshine overall, and temperatures have been a bit warmer. But again, variable decks of clouds and the opportunity for some passing showers earlier on this Monday afternoon. Live look outside to the attractions area. This is Lake Buena Vista. Again, this camera is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom, the Disney property, and we're looking back towards the Magic Kingdom from this shot. Again, developing clouds, still dry there at the hour, bit of a breeze. And the other big story, of course, is that when we don't get the storms in your area in the early afternoon hours, the heat that's going to be building in as well. And another look to the southeast side of downtown Orlando. This is the Conway area there. We're looking east across the lake towards the east coast. And again, just some fair weather clouds out the hour. Nothing that has really developed here. We are drier in general the farther east that you go in the state. So again, looking east from the Conway cam, you can see very little development to the cloud coverage, and then back out to the west side of Orange County, looking west, you can see first of all more moisture-laden clouds with the darker bases to those clouds, but a little bit more vertical development as well, even back down towards the horizon as we're looking towards the west coast. All right, so let's get into what's going to be happening here. I'm going to go back over to the computer, and then we're going to bring this up. I've got the live radar out of Melbourne up right now because, again, let's talk about the showers that are currently into play. Even a couple of isolated thunderstorms up here in the western sides of Marion County, north of Denellen, west of Ocala, west of 75 towards Reddick. Then we have scattered showers at the hour for portions of Levy and Citrus counties, so Denellen towards Hernando. Inverness, nice little shower there. No lightning out of any of this as well. Down towards Floral City, an isolated shower across I-75 in Sumter County. Lake Pant is just west of Bushnell. Rain picks up a bit as you head towards the Dade City area. San Antonio, Zephyr Hills there across 301. Interior sections of Pasco County. And then again, you can see from the Winter Garden camera, and here's Winter Garden right here, that we've had a couple of showers develop kind of on the west side of Winter Garden. A little bit west of the 429 area there, south side of Oakland, so far kind of southwest Winter Garden, south side of Oakland, south of Colonial, west of 429 out there, and then that will kind of skirt over towards 27 and the south side of Claremont. But again, that's just some really spotty rain. Little shower that might get a little bit stronger up in northern Lake County out the hour across 40 Astor, just to the south of Pearson and 17, to the north of De Leon Springs. Again, a couple of spotty showers across I-95, but they're just beginning beginning to bubble up at the hour. South Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Wilbur by the Sea, Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, places like that could have, again, a little bit of extra cloud coverage and a spottier shower. Can't rule out a light shower over Flagler County at my friends in Palm Coast, but you're playing a little bit of golf there at the hour. We're generally going to be just fine. And a little shower towards the St. Augustine area. Blue Goose there right now. Let me know, Blue Goose, have you had a little bit of rain so far? Certainly a little bit of a shower there over St. Augustine and St. Augustine Beach. And again, all of this activity is kind of drifting and developing at the hour. Let me put on the composite radar here and just take this off and loop this up, guys, over the last couple of hours for you, so you can kind of see the development of this. There's kind of a south to north movement with maybe a slight component east, but it's been very slow movement here. This is a loop over the last 2 hours. And you can see that the showers that have developed across I-75, even towards US 19, haven't moved much. Again, if anything, there's been a slight movement off towards the east. Now, there's additional showers and storms. And again, you can clearly see from the radar presentation, we have a southerly flow that's in place. And again, that's going to, drive the direction of the showers, but it's also going to continue to pump in very moisture-laden air. Very hot conditions are going to be coming in when we don't have the showers. This is the overall surface presentation of your winds right now, which again, slightly out of the south and east, especially back down to Brevard County, but just kind of a general right now, more out of the south than anything else. Bring out current temperatures for you guys at the hour as well. A little bit yesterday, none today. Crossing fingers, gotcha. So these are your current temperatures in play right now. Now, obviously, where we've had some healthier downpours, and you saw it on the bottom of your screen, places like Crystal River, Homosassa, Zephyr Hills, rain cooled back into the 80s, right? Where we have not had any showers today, it's getting hot. I-4 East, temperatures right around 90 to 91 already at 1 o'clock. When we factor in the humidity values, now the dew points themselves are outrageously high. Anything above 70 here is going to be considered to be humid air. And, when you're talking about mid and upper 70 dew points, that is really moisture-laden air. So now the heat index, or the feels like temperature, begins to become a problem. All right, when you have 90 to 91 degree temperatures and dew points that are already in the low and the mid 70s. So when we factor that in at the hour, and I'm going to stop it here, is exactly where we are right now, past the 1 o'clock hour. These are the feels like numbers, and they're only going to get worse. Not only are they only going to get worse, obviously, the remainder of the day, but they're going to get worse through the remainder of the week. The heat is a story this week, guys. Please be aware of that. If you're an outside worker, people who work outside, maybe you work at the attractions, or you just like to be out and about. You like to play tennis, you like to play golf, you like to play pickleball in the afternoon hours. It feels like it's 101 in Sanford right now. 98 in the 98 in MCO, 95 in downtown Orlando. Feels like it's 96 in Kissimmee at the hour. A couple triple digits up to the north. Ormond Beach, it feels like it's 105 because they have a 90 degree temperature and a dew point at 79 degrees. I mean, look, there are times that we get dew points in the lower 80s here in Florida, but that is a huge layer of moisture at the low levels of the atmosphere to get those kind of dew points. It's outrageous. I mean, anything above 70 would be considered humid air. I know it's this time of the year. It typically gets worse in July and August. So the fact that we're talking about it here, even as we're just kind of knocking on the door of mid-June, is a story. 99 in the land is your feels like temperature. Again, a little bit cooler where we've had the rain, so not a problem there, but we haven't had a lot of rain in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties so far today. So St. Pete and Tampa's feels like temperatures are both at 98 degrees. Right now, it's not horrible in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. Bayshore Gardens feels like it's about 93 there. Again, Polk County, 96, 97, 94 in Melbourne, Palm Bay. It's rough at a couple of spots. Obviously, it's not everyone, but it's going to be an issue the remainder of this week. Bring up the visible satellite imagery here. We'll put on the temperatures again as well. Loop this up just to show you kind of how the clouds are going to be working as we roll through the remainder of today. Now, look, we're still going to get some scattered showers and storms to develop. All right. There's still going to be somewhat limited in nature, and we'll take a look at the models. Now, if you live west of the I-4 corridor, we've had some pretty good storms, especially in Lake and Sumter, kind of sneaking into northern Polk and, portions of Marion counties the last couple of evenings. I mean, these have been prolific storms. They've not been severe. They haven't even had special weather statements. They're just really slow moving, heavy rain and lightning storms. I mean, just a ton of noise being produced out of these storms. And if you live, in the Orlando metro area, the last couple of evenings, all you've had to do is look west to see these storms. Hey, Jaden, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well today. Jaden coming in from Aruba, friend of the Media Mundo channel that I do. And again, I do a few different channels here on the digital platform on YouTube. And, we've got a big following there on the Media Mundo channel. Appreciate all those who kind of cross-platform and support all the channels that I do. It really means a lot. So thank you so much, Jaden. I hope you're doing well. Obviously, I'll have the Media Mundo video update coming up later this afternoon. So look forward to that. Again, while you're here, thanks for taking a quick second and liking this video. If you haven't subscribed to CFLW, again, this is a live-only channel. I do a Monday and Friday 1 o'clock show where we kind of talk about, the days ahead, but then I'm only live when there is impactful weather here in Central Florida to cover. So you're not going to get video updates from me, but you're going to get real-time information. And again, if you watch these live streams that I do on Monday and Friday, you're going to get a preview of what I expect. And we'll talk about when I expect the most impactful weather and the highest opportunity, if you will, for me to be live and covering those storms. Now, overall for today, the risk of severe storms looks like this. Actually, I've got day 2 up, but guess what? When I go to day 1, you're going to see no difference. We are in the general thunderstorm risk from the Storm Prediction Center. So we're not expecting any organized severe weather. Again, I can't rule out, especially this time of the year, with a ton of low-level, moisture in place and a bit of, mid and upper-level instability. I can't rule out a rogue, strong or severe storm. It happens, right? Main threats are going to be your winds. That could be 40 to 50, 55 miles an hour. You got to get to 60 to get a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, we're teetering, on that probably not happening for today. And you got to get an inch-size hail, which again, you can have a storm producing 50-mile-an-hour winds and half-inch size hail. You're not going to get a severe thunderstorm warning out of it. You're only going to get a special weather statement. Again, it's kind of it's a pretty high threshold, and the Weather Service offices do that on purpose because they don't want to keep, they don't want to be the boy who cried wolf, if you will, and have a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings going up and, there not be significant impacts. So, the criteria is pretty high. I do want to just point out that there is going to be a severe weather outbreak today in portions of the western Great Lakes, the northern and central plains, and then for tomorrow into the central and southern plains. I'll be covering that over on the Weather Express channel. Again, if you want to support me in the other channels, the Weather Express channel is a 5-minute channel, daily forecasts across the United States. The Media Mundo channel, we cover the Caribbean and the Bahamas. You'll find links to both channels in the video description, and or if you go to the homepage of CFLW, you'll find those links there as well. So that's what it looks like for today. For tomorrow, again, you can see the risk gets back into Kansas, portions of Missouri, and eventually we'll head into, the southern plains, Oklahoma, and Texas. We will stay under the general risk for severe storms for Tuesday, and then for Wednesday, the same situation. So, when we're talking about what storms we're going to get in the next couple of days, I don't expect anything to be organized severe. Still can't rule out, again, a rogue thunderstorm that's strong or severe. Winds, again, heavy rain and lightning is not a criteria for severe thunderstorm warning. So they've been going gangbusters the last couple of evenings, west of Orlando Lake, portions of Sumter County. But again, not even a special weather statement because they've just been heavy rain and lightning producers. But for Wednesday, you've got a risk area right now from the southern Great Lakes all the way back into the southern plains. And again, we'll continue to see the opportunity for a few storms. But when we talk about the heat, you guys are going to be hoping for some of these storms to cool things down because we are going to be in store for some extremely hot weather here the next couple of days. And I will get into real quickly what I expect as far as, the tropics as well. So we'll look at all of that. So let's see here. So we got any winds to talk about? I haven't noticed a ton today. Yesterday there was hardly any wind, and I was praying for some to just kind of mix up the heat, right? That was a huge story. A little storm near Palatka. Yeah, I mean, again, it's really spotty at the hour, and you can see that there. Right up here, there's Pomona, there's Palatka. Yeah, no lightning out of it as of yet, though. But again, look, there's going to be a few showers around. There's not going to be a completely dry day. And I promise you, you're going to hope that you get some of this rain. Now, the problem is, the problem, right? these storms sometimes come so late in the darn afternoon that it's not going to help the heat anyway, right? Maybe you cool off a little bit in the very late afternoon hours and early evening, but you really want those storms to come in by 1 or 2 o'clock. And for the most part, especially given what I expect the next couple of days, that's not going to happen. So even though there'll be a little bit of relief from time to time, you know, is it going to be a lot? Let's take a look. So I'm going to break out the HER model, high resolution rapid refresh. It'll take us into Wednesday morning, and then we'll look at Wednesday afternoon from the other various models. But again, this is a high resolution model, updates hourly. We'll start at 3 o'clock today. And again, you know, whenever I load it up, first thing I like to look at is what's the initial conditions, right? Is the model really picking up on what's truly happening out there? Because, you know, even with the HER model that updates hourly and it's taking all the latest data and all the, you know, all the data from the radar sites and all of the newest model information and spitting out a solution, it can still start not fantastically, you know. And so if you start with garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. But it's rare that happens. But I always like to kind of make sure that it's on par when we start. So we always kind of pick it up from the beginning here. So, you know, this is 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I feel like this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have an isolated shower across I-95. You're going to have a little bit more concentration with the south to north movement. So up I-75, Ocala, Gainesville. Again, pockets of heavy rain, you know, pea-sized hail, can't rule it out, but generally just some showers and storms for today. But look, you know, at the 3 o'clock hour on this Monday, many dry hours and locations, there's not a ton of showers and storms in the forecast for today. So the heat's a big story. Now, where is the best chance later in the afternoon hours? It will probably develop somewhere between I-4 and I-95. So Volusia, portions of Seminole, Orange, Brevard counties, and then just kind of slowly drift west, right? Now look, if these storms can cluster up like the HER model is showing, you know, this would bring some pretty good wind to the I-4 corridor of Metro Orlando as we get into the drive time home. So I'll be monitoring the situation, right? You know, are we going to have some impacts to the drive? It's possible. 7 o'clock, the storms move across I-4. Again, if they can kind of congregate like this, I'll show you the NAM model as well. You know, the solutions are going to be different. And then just slowly pushing off towards the west. Now, the storms will build a little bit down I-4 into Polk County, and even portions of the eastern side of Hillsborough County, and then kind of just race south and southwest. Now, these should be back into a more typical pattern where the last several evenings, these storms have lingered, you know, to the midnight hour, you know, west of Orlando, along and east of I-75. Again, Sumter, Lake counties have been the most prominent storms the last couple of evenings, but these storms should take a more traditional pattern where as we lose the heat of the day, and by the way, we're what, about 5 days away from the summer solstice? I mean, we're getting to the maximum daylight we have here in Central Florida with sunset not until very late, you know, pushing the 9 o'clock hour. So these storms can hold on deeper this time of the year, well into the 8 o'clock hour before they lose the energy and they die back down. Maybe a couple of scattered showers around midnight, but again, probably not as prominent as what we've had the last couple of days. Then for your Tuesday, we're going to start up the showers again in storms, much like we had today, kind of more localized, south winds, an extremely hot day. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll look at the models in the heat. I'm not sure that the models are actually picking up on just how hot I think it's going to get. So we'll talk about that coming up. I've got some, you know, obviously some 3-day forecasts to break out. But once again, for Tuesday afternoon, the rain is spotty. Still many dry hours and locations. Will favor the I-4 corridor west again as we get into the latter half of the afternoon and the evening hours. So I-75, Ocala, Bellevue, the Villages, back towards Bushnell, Spring Hill, Dade City, Zephyr Hills, Town and Country, back to Tampa, maybe Bradenton, Sarasota, that far to the south. And again, these storms just kind of getting a little bit closer to pushing off the coastline. Even a few showers could linger overnight and into Wednesday morning. And again, then that's the end of the HER model. So if we loop this up from this afternoon through Wednesday morning, you look at where you live, you get an idea. In a general sense, the I-95 corridor will be a little bit drier. I-4, scattered showers and storms. I think a limited opportunity for storms along the West Coast tomorrow, and then building rain chances. But it doesn't matter where you are here in Central Florida. The heat and the feels like temperature should be at or above 100 most afternoons during this entire week, right? With some actual air temperatures hitting the upper 90s. So it is going to get extremely hot across the area. Again, you got to take heat precautions, friends. If you're just not tolerant to it, even if you are, there's not many of those afternoon hours that you want to be outdoors. You got to find the shade. You got to drink the water. We talk about it a lot, and you guys know if you live here, but concerned certainly about some of that activity as far as the heat goes. Now, let's go over to the NAM. And this will take us out to Wednesday night. And we can take a look at the differences as well, right? You know, these models aren't going to be completely in agreement with the where the storms are developing. Just making sure here I've got it fully loaded up. Okay, and as we do that, I'm going to check something here. I want to make sure that the Weather Service office hasn't yet. So look, you know, when we're talking about what I expect heat-wise for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at this point in time, there are no heat advisories, right? You know, you're going to see in my forecast where I kind of am concerned about the heat, but just so you know that the Weather Service hasn't issued anything yet. Now, typically they might issue it the evening before, but generally the morning of, right? So if they expect the heat index conditions to reach criteria for heat advisory, they would probably issue it that morning, and it would cover the afternoon hours of that day. So it's not shocking whatsoever to not see any heat advisories, but don't be surprised if at some point in time in your area, potentially starting as early as tomorrow, but especially Wednesday and Thursday, we start to pick up some heat advisories because heat indexes or feels like temperatures should be well into the triple digits in a lot of spots. So this is the the NAM model for this afternoon. Nope, not for this afternoon. Here we go. For this afternoon. Again, kind of developing these showers, still pretty spotty in nature, a few over I-4. They're not as prominent here on the NAM as what they were on the HER. Again, you know, just not as concentrated. Remember on the HER, you know, we had a good push of storms across the metro Orlando area later today, but the NAM doesn't really have that, and then pushes a few storms along I-4 after that, but nothing as organized. And then for tomorrow, you know, we should see some scattered showers developing in the afternoon hours, but again, not a ton of rain. The NAM is drier than the HER. So again, many dry hours and locations, just like the last couple of evenings. You notice that the NAM is still buying into these late evening and overnight storms between I-75 and I-4. And I can tell you, because I've seen them every night, that they have been prolific. And so we'll see. You know, it's interesting, you know, now what that would be playing off of is the NAM is off of the old storm boundaries, right? The old outflow boundaries of these storms that develop, you know, in the same areas each day can continue to develop storms in those spots. So the old outflow boundaries could try and produce additional storms in those areas. And then as we get into Wednesday, again, not a ton of rain and storms out there. Real quick, we'll take a look at the GFS model, because why the heck not? Nope, let's go here. Oh, I got a new run of that already. Excellent. Then the 18th. Loop that up. So we have three different models to show you guys, and we'll take a look at some forecasts for you as well. So here you go on the GFS, guys. Do you see a lot? The answer is no, right? So if you don't catch some of these showers, it's going to be hot. South winds, dew points in the 70s, not a heck of a lot of rain to cool things off. This is what the forecast looks like, guys. Here you go. We'll start in Orlando. I don't see a huge change in the forecast because, again, I think we're going to have scattered storms at best. A few times we might have a little bit more concentration east, but generally a little bit west of Orlando. So I've just put a 40% chance for storms in. Look, it's going to be hot. Feels like temperatures around Metro Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, Ocoee, Kissimmee, Lake Nona, Oviedo, Sanford, Winter Park, places like that. All should see daytime highs right around 94 degrees tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Feels like temperatures right around 100 or even slightly higher in the afternoon. Again, scattered storms, but nothing more than that. And temperatures, that'll be for morning lows in the mid 70s. To Clearwater Beach we go. Take a look at this, guys. Don't expect there to be a lot of rain again today and tomorrow. So your feels like temperature, even along the west coast, Clearwater Beach, should be about 102 tomorrow afternoon. An actual temperature of 91, but it feels like temperature of 102. Then there should be a little bit better chance for a shower or storm Wednesday and Thursday. Daytime highs remaining in the lower 90s. Look at these morning lows, upper 70s. I don't think we're gonna, stay at 80 for a morning low, but it's not gonna be much better than that in Clearwater Beach. Hey, Randy, how you doing? Randy, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying so. I want to say that you picked the absolute right time to jump in the chat and say hi, because I believe when I hit this button, the forecast of the villages is going to come up. You want to talk about timing. Here you go. And I appreciate that, Randy. And again, this is an area that I'm very concerned about the heat, because we all know the villages obviously has a very large elderly population, an older population, right? Still very active, a lot of pickleball and tennis and golf being played. But if you live in the villages like Randy, or people who do, and again, the heat stress is worst on the very young and the very old. And this is the kind of heat that concerns me, right? For tomorrow afternoon in the villages, I think the feels like temperature gets up to 104 with an actual air temperature of 94 degrees. So 94 the daytime high in the villages tomorrow, but it feels like temperature of 105. I think it gets even hotter Wednesday and Thursday. I've got 95 on Wednesday. I've got 96 on Thursday. The feels like temperature will probably be at least 105 in most areas. Now, again, there is not, from the National Weather Service in Melbourne, any official heat advisory, heat warnings of any kind, excessive heat warnings. I just put heat alert here because I want you to be aware of what I feel like is coming. And again, they wouldn't be issuing excessive heat warnings for Thursday yet anyway, okay? But you should stay aware of the heat that should be building in. So I've got 96 for the actual air temperature in the villages on Thursday, and again, feels like numbers, probably 105, maybe as hot as 110. Not great. And again, some storms, but a lot of activity coming in the late afternoon hours as we typically would expect, and it's not going to help really cool things off any in the villages, all right? Titusville, East Coast, slight component of an east wind from time to time, should make things cooler. I mean, it's all relative, right? Right around 94 daytime high, more isolated showers than anything here, right? Not, again, completely dry in Brevard County, but don't be shocked if you don't get any rain the next 3 or 4 days. 30% chance for showers Tuesday, Wednesday, 40 on Thursday, 91 to 90 for daytime highs. Heat indices still can hit the triple digits with this, especially with the dew points in the upper 70s. Not out of the question, right? It's still going to be pretty brutally hot there, and morning lows in the mid 70s. So that's kind of the overall forecast over the next couple of days. Let's go back out to Winter Garden. Again, you can see the building cloud coverage. The opportunity for a couple of showers here, even at the 1 o'clock hour in the western side of Orange County. So the clouds are thickening up a bit. That might even be a little bit of a shower developing there. Little fingers, little striations here, right? Could just beginning to start to see. Now, it could be just a little bit of moisture being pulled down, but nice little light shower, more than likely developing here. We'll go back over to the radar in just a second, but again, this is live for you guys. So, the opportunity. This is what I love about our cameras is, we talk about the forecast, but we can also look at what's happening live outside for you right now. And again, passing showers here. Nothing is very organized, or, most things are detached, so I'm not expecting huge, tall cumulus nimbus clouds to develop here. So more showers than anything else. Conway still looks beautiful as we're looking to the east. Again, more fair weather clouds back off towards the east. Nice little breeze there. That will help to make things feel a little bit nicer. And you can see some of the building cloud coverage here in the top right-hand side of your screen back in the Lake Buena Vista area. Again, this is just 1 mile from the attractions. Still dry here in the Lake Buena Vista attractions area. But again, can't rule out a couple of passing showers, as an opportunity as well. All right, back over to the weather computer. Again, as I switch systems, it takes me just 1 second to fully load them up back here. All right, so let's go back over to the live radar and see here if we have any showers developing. So I'm telling you right now, this is exactly what the Winter Garden camera is seeing. There you go, right there. So again, the camera itself in Winter Garden is actually in the south side of Winter Garden, south of the Turnpike and the Colonial. So we're looking right into it right now. So there's the shower that is developing live here on CFLW. And you can just see how we're getting a couple of scattered showers. But again, take it if you get it. Consider yourselves lucky, as hot as it's going to be without that. This is what it, again, back to the temperatures. If you guys, let's see here. Actually, I think the easiest thing to do is just bring them on right here. Those are wind gusts. These are going to be air temperatures. And those are on the bottom of your screen as well. But again, 90, 91, pretty rough outside, right? Feels like temperatures, again, you know, a couple of spots have already gone above 100. Feels like it's 101 in Sanford already, right? Ormond Beach, yeah, Ormond Beach had a 105. 105. 90 degrees with a 79% humidity. Yikes. Excuse me, 79 dew point. Ugh. All right, so one thing I want to show you guys as well is I'm going to go back over to the HER model. Yeah, it's trying to develop. I wouldn't expect it to just fall apart. I'm just going up to the temperature here. This is the HER model for, let's go tomorrow afternoon. So again, you know, now at the 5 o'clock hour, this is going to be, obviously, if we've had some storms around your area, it's going to be cooler. But just to kind of give you an idea, and that's 5 o'clock. And again, if there's rain, you're going to be cooler. But you see some actual air temperatures at 95. Oh yeah, let's do this. Just 1 hour earlier. Just trying to give you guys an idea of what the models are trying to bring on here. So, you know, there's an actual temperature there in Kissimmee of 96 potentially. You know, hopefully that's about one of the hottest spots, but you get the idea. And again, I think the models sometimes have a rough time with this. Now, obviously you get rain-cooled air. So anywhere you see the oranges are where we have the HER model producing showers tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So obviously that would be rain-cooled. But everyone else, you know, again, I think 92, 93, 94, 95 tomorrow, and then probably 94, 95, 96 on your Wednesday afternoon. Not going to be fantastic. Yeah, it happens, Blue Goose, no doubt about it. Again, we're not in a huge instability pattern, meaning that we're not have a lot of mid and upper level support right now, and the air, you know, in the composite is still relatively dry. Now look, this is the 6 to 10 day outlook. Let me again be clear about this. This is not taking into account today through Friday, okay? Not the first 5 days of the forecast, it's days 6 through 10. So Saturday, Sunday, the weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Do you see how hot is expected to stay? Again, this is not like a, you know, like a chart of like, oh, you know, the reds mean it's 95 or higher. No, this is the, what's the percentage chance that your temperatures are at or above normal or at or below normal? If you are in the blue, you have a higher than normal chance of being below average temperature in the 6 to 10 day time frame. If you're in the yellows to oranges and reds, you have an above average chance of seeing temperatures above normal in the 6 to 10 day time frame. The point I'm trying to make here is that it is going to be brutally hot this week, and I don't expect it to change over the weekend and into next week as well. We have an extremely high chance of staying with temperatures at or above average. Now look, this time of the year, right, our highs don't vary much, okay? To get to the upper 90s is about the max, but we're not going to get any break from the heat. So low and a lot of mid 90s are on board here over the next 10 days. And relatively speaking, the eastern half of the United States is going to get hot. There's going to be a huge dome of high pressure out east, a big trough out west. So it's going to be cooler from the Intermountain West to the West Coast, but the plains in the eastern half of the United States is going to stay very hot. Fortunately with that, our rain outlook at best is average. Potentially an opportunity for a little bit more rain overall on the West Coast, but we're in the normal opportunity for showers and storms. And of course, this time of the year with the sea breeze activity, it's very hard for the models to pick up on the independent storms on a daily basis. This is just a very composite average. And generally speaking, I think, we're to be right about where we should be. Now, you want to talk about having worse weather. It's like a swamp in Washington, D.C. this time of the year. But when it's that hot and dry across the I-95 corridor, it gets even worse. All right. So at least we have a little bit better chance for some showers there. Do want to talk about real quickly, because I said I would mention it, taking a look at what's happening across the tropics for you guys right now. Now, if you haven't been paying attention much, and I don't blame you if you haven't, we have had no tropical activity in the Atlantic Basin. So the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season so far has been quiet for the first 2 weeks. It is a completely opposite situation in the East Pacific. They've had 4 named storms already, with a 5th one likely to develop in the next 48 to 72 hours. They will already have their E-named storm before we sniff anything. Still watching the Western Caribbean and potentially the Southwest Gulf of Mexico. But the models aren't extremely aggressive with this. I mean, overall, the GFS is always a little bit more aggressive. There's a bit of a bias this time of the year. But, as far as anything that looks like it would sniff Florida at this point in time, the answer is no. I don't see it. Obviously, if that's the case, I'll be monitoring the situation for you guys. But if you want to ever get the latest tropical forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, I always suggest you hop over to the Media Mundo channel. Again, we have like 51,000 subscribers there, so we appreciate all that support. Anyone have any specific questions about me? Oh man, I mean, so I worked in West Virginia, my very first job. Didn't spend a lot of time in the Maryland, D.C. area, but a little bit. And, it was brutal. And then I remember one trip, actually coming back from, I was moving, working out of Albany, New York, and coming back to Florida. And I actually had to stop near the D.C. area because the traffic was so bad. Wasn't expecting to stay that far north. And it was a summer afternoon. I think it was early August, and it was disgusting. It's like low-level swampland there. It can get really bad with the humidity. All right, friends. I think that'll do it for today. Again, please be very cautious of the heat in the next couple of days. We are going to get a few showers and storms developing just like we have right now. But you can see nothing is organized. I hope you catch an early afternoon shower to cool things off. Otherwise, get prepared for feels-like temperatures that'll be well into the triple digits. Obviously, I'll be monitoring the situation again. If there's a need to come on live at any point in time in the next couple of afternoons, I absolutely will, to cover any storms that get too rowdy out there, let you guys know what's happening. If nothing else, I'll see you guys Friday for the next CFLW, the show at 1 o'clock. Thank you again for all of those who are tuning in to the live portion of this. As always, this becomes a recorded video under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. You can watch at your leisure. You have a question about the forecast at that point in time, feel free to ask it. I go back and watch it and we'll answer those questions. So again, there's a little bit of an evergreen to this, right? I appreciate those who watch on the live version, but if you haven't had the opportunity or this is not a great time for you, you can watch later this afternoon, this evening, even the next day. Obviously, this this show covers the forecast of the rest of the week, and then Friday's live stream will cover Friday and the weekend forecast. So my friends, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking and subscribing if you haven't. Again, I'll be monitoring the situation for you guys, and if nothing else, I'll see you Friday at 1 o'clock for the latest edition of CFLW The Show. Until then, my friends, take care. I'll see you then.